When it's great to speed read, you will have many opportunities to apply the speed reading skills you've learned so far. Here are some examples of situations where it would be beneficial to speed read. When you're reading for pleasure. When you're reading for fun, you're reading by your own rules. Hopefully, you've selected a text that is enjoyable to read. There is no reason to slow down through an exciting book if you don't have to, so go ahead and speed up your reading. If you're reading for fun, there is no need to read every word. Try reading in phrases. You will enjoy the book so much and you'll reach the last page much more quickly. When you don't need to have a perfect understanding of the whole text. Some texts demand perfect attention to every word, but many others don't. Assess your reasons and goals before you begin to read. If you think you can go through a text and don't have to be responsible for every detail, then read through it at your new and improved reading speed. However, remember that as you get faster, your comprehension will increase, which means that you might still have a thorough understanding of the text by the end of your reading exercise. When you're reading something that's easy, if the topic or reading level is simple for you, then there is no reason not to read it as quickly as you can. You won't be distracted by difficult words or complex sentence structures. When you're reading familiar text, our minds are better equipped to absorb information that's familiar to us. For example, shark experts won't find it challenging to read about sharks, whereas non-shark experts will probably need to spend more time reading and understanding the information. It's up to you to judge whether the information is familiar enough to allow for speed reading. When it isn't great to speed read. Speed reading will often greatly increase your comprehension and enjoyment, but it's important to know of the situations where speed reading can actually hurt your comprehension and enjoyment, leaving you frustrated and actually increasing the amount of time you will need to spend reading. Here are some examples of situations where it might not be beneficial to speed read. When you're studying first-time material. If you're trying to study material the first time around, especially for a class or test, you might want to really focus on each detail. Studying is a learning process that requires that you take it slow, write down notes as you go, and go backwards when you want to tie different ideas together. You may wish to speed read in future, but you should probably take the first time read a little slower. 2. When you're reading unfamiliar text, the less familiar a topic is to you, the less likely you are to understand it if you read quickly. You can read fast when the ideas already match what your brain knows, but if the topic is not an area you're familiar with, slow down so that your mind gets used to the information. When the reading level of the content is high, authors employ many different writing techniques to complicate their text. And when the text is difficult, you can easily misunderstand if you go too fast. The 3 primary reasons texts get difficult are because of the level of vocabulary, the complexity of the sentence structure, and the depth of ideas. These big warning signs are telling you to slow down, of course. Difficult and complicated text is largely subjective, so it will be up to you to judge whether you think you have to slow down when reading it. When you should and shouldn't speed read. When individuals finally master the martial arts, earning black belts and achieving impressive skills, they are given the command, use what you've learned only when the need arises. The same is true of speed reading. If you use your abilities unnecessarily, then you haven't quite mastered their true art. There are times when they are needed and times when they are not. And you need to know the difference. Now that you've taken the time to explore the secrets of speed reading, there is one very important lesson you need to understand. Speed reading is not a skill you need to use every time you read. You need to be aware of when speed reading will actually be helpful to you and when it could be detrimental and bad for you. The real trick to understanding how to use speed reading is to recognize that every reader has different reading rates, not just one reading rate. Typically, excellent speed readers adjust their speed depending on the type of the text and the portion of that text they are focusing on.